Hey everyone, it's another episode of Game.Set.Chat live at a distance. I am Chanda,
I'm Zina Garrison.
and we are so happy to be joining you today. So we've got another fun chat planned, but before we get into that, Zina, what's been going on? How's your week been?
My week actually has been a really good and productive week. Not like last week. I don't know what the heck I was doing. I was really quarantined, like back to the laid back. But you know what, Chanda? For the first time ever, I got like over 2,000 and something Twitters. That might be not a lot to a lot of people, but I wore this bucket hat.
So you
And
got the views, you got all the views, right? And the likes.
yes, and the bucket hat was just like, oh my God, it was just
Yes, I have a bucket
absolutely.
hat on.
There it is.
But help kids #learn
Love it.
everywhere challenge. I have a tip
So, and
today.
it was
And my
really
tip
interesting. I did
is
a cute
who
little
knows
thing.
how
I
to
just
write a
asked that,
hand
for hashtag learn everywhere and did it. And it really turned out really well. It was fun.
Yeah, it was super cute. And I think, it was your tip was great because, you know, kids writing, actually handwriting letters is kind of a lost art, or even notes to people, cards, writing it out a little bit. We're so used to sending messages, texts, using social media. So it was a cool little tip. And on top of it, you were so cute with your hat on. It's like, I can see it. It got her shades over her eyes, and I thought it was super, super cute. So I'm sure
That
a
was
lot of people agreed.
that
Yeah.
was seriously a bad hair day that I was not. I couldn't even bring out a nice wig.
We wouldn't have known it. We would not have known it. So, and your eyeshadow, that's what I'm gonna say. Your eyeshadow was popping too, and I liked it. so, so no, that's awesome. And I wanted to call some attention, Zena, to my shirt. So I was feeling a
Oh,
little patriotic today, and I just was thinking about you. I was thinking about, obviously you've been such a fantastic Fed Cup player, but then you were a Fed Cup captain. And I wanted
yeah.
to kind of ask you, how was that? How was it working with young players, especially in those types of pressure situations, having been in it yourself, but trying to then convey what your experience to them? How were those experiences for you?
Well, actually, the very first time I ever did Fed Cup was I was the assistant to Billie Jean King, and I learned so much. So when I had the opportunity to become the captain, I literally jumped on it. I absolutely loved it. But it's very interesting too when you have someone like Lindsay Davenport or Venus and Serena, and they're already number one in the world. Martina
Hmm.
Navratilova, Lisa Raymond, and then you're trying to, what could you tell them? But
Yeah.
it's very interesting. And one thing I noticed more than anything is all of them are true champions, and they all wanted you to help them, whatever
Yeah.
it could take.
Yeah, and that certainly helps when you're trying to work with players in a short format, a week at a time. You haven't really been around them as much. So you want players that are open and want to kind of hear what you have to say. And speaking of American players, young American players, today we have a fantastic guest coming on the show. This young man is such a dynamic athlete. He's fun to watch. He's already garnered so many fans around the world. And I understand why. He's got this engaging personality. He's gotten up to 29 in the world, had a big breakthrough last year at the Australian Open, getting to the quarterfinals. So we want to welcome in Frances Tiafoe. And I'm looking forward to this one because he is such an engaging personality. There he is. I don't want to give him too many props, but happy Foe, as we call you, but happy you could join us today. How are things going?
I'm great. I'm great. How about y'all?
We're doing well. We could not wait for this interview. It's so funny because I called Chanda. I said, Chanda, you got to get him to come on the show. And so she gave me a call. So thank you for coming on our show. And you can relax. We're the two old veterans right here. You can relax.
Yeah, I mean, normally I'd have a drink right here, so but I might not want to go that far. It might get a little out of hand, but we definitely we definitely have a good time, just chatting about different things. And also one of the things we like to do is we like to take questions from our audience. They send in questions ahead of time, and we like to throw those in as well. So we have a few for you, Francis, as we get into the show. But yeah, but initially, where are you? What have you been doing? How have you been spending the time the last couple of months? I know things are starting to open up a little bit, but how have you been spending your time, and have you started easing back into more normalcy?
Yeah. So right when everything started going down, once Indian Wells got canceled, my girlfriend was out in LA, so I hung out in LA for about 10 days. And my mom was like, "You gotta get your ass back home." the, so I was in DC for a while. Yeah, and I didn't really play much tennis. I didn't play tennis for a good couple weeks, and then
Mhm.
2, 3 weeks, and then I started playing. I was doing fitness every day, but I wasn't playing. I just didn't feel there was a need to. And then yeah, so now I'm in Florida to see my dad, and yeah, I'm near the beach currently, hanging out.
That's not bad.
Well,
Okay.
well, that's funny you say that you so the minute you heard, you were just kind of hanging out. So that was the first thing that went through your mind, that you had to just hang out so you could, because you didn't know what was going to happen.
No, I mean it wasn't even like that. I mean wasn't having the greatest start to years, and I thought like, yo, let me like take a second, take some time and really think about what's going on. Obviously, I made some decisions prior to that, so I just wanted some time to just chill out and just think about other things. It wasn't just me just chilling and not caring about life, but it was more to that.
Now you said you
So I
made
want
some
to let you
decisions.
know. Yeah, I want to let you know that for me, the first thing went through my mind was, "Oh shoot, what is going on and what's happening?" So
Yeah.
it was just, I was wondering, from being a young player and knowing that you want to get back to the top again. What's the first thing go through your mind? Like, do I start training right away? Do I wait a while? Do I work on things? So that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's tough.
I felt so. I felt so.
Yeah, no, it's tough because I mean, this is like unprecedented.
Yeah.
I can't remember a time, you think back in the last what 40 or 50 years even. I mean, but just during our careers, I mean, there's never a time where something like this has happened where you're literally no tournaments, everything's canceled, you're forced to just cool your heels, and you have no idea exactly when things are going to start back. There are plans, there's tournaments that are still on the calendar, but it's tough mentally. And so how have you been kind of handling that, Frances? How do you think about things with the uncertainty? I mean, you can't really plan too far in terms of when you're going to play,
Yeah.
but how are you handling the mental side right now?
I'm just happy to got my family with me, and close ones. I just been hanging out. I mean, I'm not trying to really jump into the assumptions of when we're gonna get back.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to work on my game, trying to just get better physically, get better mentally, and just keep getting better at my game when we come back. You know, I'm trying to I'm trying to stay ready, so I'm gonna get ready. So it's kind of been my vibe.
Okay. All right.
I like that. Stay ready to get ready. I like that.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, by any chance did you have, and you kept talking about the mental part, by any chance do you have an opportunity to watch The Last Dance, and what did you think of
Oh, I mean that's all I've been doing. I haven't missed it at all. I've been all over that. Yeah, I love basketball. I love MJ. He definitely gave us a little history lesson. Yeah, yeah, that completely changed. It was the go to my eyes. I was a massive LeBron fan, and after seeing that, I was like, damn, this guy was different. So yeah, I'm loving that. I might even start rewatching it, to be honest.
Yeah.
it? Well,
No,
it's
it's been
funny.
fun.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that he was different. What I loved about it was the whole mental part of it. And you and I have something in common that I hear a lot. Everybody says, "Oh, he's so nice," and they used to say that about me. "Oh, he's so nice." And I don't know about you, but inside I'll be like, "I'm about to kick your ass
Right,
straight up."
right, right. It comes off like that. Right. Exactly how it is.
Is that how you feel inside though, Frances? I mean, what.
When I'm competing, I mean, I hate. However it may look, I hate losing. It really bugs me. And when we're out there competing, I definitely feel like I try to give them all. Obviously, off the court, I'm much so relaxed. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fierce competitor, I would say.
Well, I'm gonna throw in our first question. So it's from Brothers on Tennis, friends of the group. Like they get in every episode. So happy about that. But they're wondering, Frances, we've been talking a little bit about the barbershop episodes. Kamal and you guys were on Tennis Channel. They showed a little clip of it. So they were wondering how much, how was that for you? Because everybody's been enjoying it. How was that for you? And how do you get along with the other players, the other players of color on the tour, and would you like to see more of that those barbershop type episodes?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to spice the tennis world up a little bit. That's kind of one of my things. Yeah, try to give it a little color, and also, I mean, yeah, I mean, I looked up to guys like Gael. Obviously, Songa wasn't there, but those kind of guys. You know, especially when they were young, they had like mad flair to them. So I was like, yeah, it would be pretty cool to be like one of these guys. And so to sit there and talk about old times they had, some experiences they had, obviously that helps me. Some experiences I was able to share, and I just think all of us being there for each other is great. Obviously, having and seeing getting to know you guys as well is really great. Obviously, I looked up to you guys, so it's pretty cool to have that unity.
Now wait a minute. You might have looked up to Chandler, but I'm really old now.
He
It's
looked
fun,
at
it's fun, it's funny. It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. Zina, I was actually up to like 1 a.m. watching you play. Some results. I caught a little history lesson with you last night. I didn't know you made finals of Wimbledon and all that. So
I am
damn.
impressed.
I was
I
like,
am impressed, Francis. I am. Wow.
I had to make sure I knew. Obviously, I knew Zena was a baller, but I didn't know it was like that. I got to give you my respect. My
It was
respect there for sure.
it was like that. And
It was definitely like that. We got to have some backhand slice rallies. Yeah, that thing was lethal. That thing was lethal.
So that was courtesy of Arthur Ashe. Like he
Right.
stayed on me for so long to learn that slice back, and then I couldn't come over it anymore.
Yeah.
well, you definitely did a good job learning a little bit about Zina because she has been unbelievable. I love the story, and I probably will keep telling this, but I love the story she tells about being in the Wimbledon final and Althea Gibson coming into the locker room before the match with champagne, telling her, "I'm ready to pop this bottle after you win." Like, how much pressure would that be before a huge match to have Althea Gibson there already kind of penciling you in? So I mean, it's
That's
incredible.
crazy.
So,
That's crazy.
but I'm curious, Francis, because we've had a chance to spend a little time together. I talked about that run, Australian Open, the quarterfinals last year.
He's trying to take all the claim for that. You see that?
No, absolutely not. What I'm curious about. Stick with me here. What I'm curious about is as a player, when you sort of have that breakthrough, how do you kind of reset mentally? How do you sort of push kind of to that next level? I mean, it wasn't that long ago now, we're in this period of uncertainty and just trying to look at, staying positive, but how do you use that to kind of push and reset to get to the next level?
Well, I mean, just talking about that moment, I would have done things a lot differently after that. I mean, I was definitely feeling myself a lot shortly after that. I thought I was too much of the man right after that. I would have definitely done a lot more things different. But I mean, just remembering those times now, it's like obviously, I'm not a real guy to believe in flukes. I think if you can do something once, you can definitely repeat that. And so yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of new changes I'm willing to make, and also some sacrifices I'm willing to make as well.
Well, nice. See, no credit to me. That's all of you.
Well, I'm gonna say I was up all the time watching your matches, and Chanda was definitely there rooting you on, and I was just so excited for you. And I actually kind of felt that it was going to be a little difficult after that for you, just because I know the pressure. A lot of times, as a Black tennis players, sometimes people don't know the pressure, the extra pressure that we have as being a Black player. So you were carrying everybody on their shoulders, and you don't even realize it. So I would just, like to tell you that one thing, you have to think about what happened then, but also like you said, what would you do different? But don't be afraid to go back and to try to correct some of those things. Like you said, you were feeling yourself a little bit. That's fine. As a tennis player, you got to feel yourself. You just have to turn that into a positive, right, Chanda?
Absolutely. And Zina, I'm curious to you, so, you in your career, I kind of did what Francis did when I went and listened to that podcast we had talked about. I learned a lot of things that I hadn't known about you, and I thought I knew most everything. But for you, you went through some patches in your career where you got close, you had big matches, you just couldn't quite get over the hump. You couldn't quite, find a way in those moments. And you were able to, at one point, kind of turn it around and really propel yourself up to the top of the game. Was there anything that changed? How do you feel you were able to make that transition?
Well, the one thing is, and I couldn't wait to talk to Frances about this. The one thing is, first of all, realizing that a lot of people are, basically listening to me. They're watching me. I'm up on the podium. People are looking up to me and everything, but not being afraid of that. And so, Frances, I would just say to you, it's like, accept being that role model, and what I mean by a role model is that that's you. People are going to look up to you whether you like it or not. But the other part of it is that just means that you got a target on your back and people coming after you. So you got to work harder and harder each and every day. And I know you spent some time with Serena. I'm sure she's probably told you that, because that's one of her biggest things is every week is a new week and somebody got a target on your back. But the way that you get out of it is basically, not being afraid to look at things for exactly how they are and work your butt off. You got to be selfish in the respect of, it's all about you. It's all about your workout to be the best person you can work out to be. I know you didn't hear me. You didn't want to be hearing me preach today, but
I mean, I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. I was waiting for it.
He called me Church Z. So
He sure did. I was gonna pass by that. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but he did it. I recall.
Dude, but we waiting for you. We waiting for you. We just waiting.
Yeah.
You can do this. We know you can do it.
I appreciate it. It means a lot coming from y'all.
Well, and I mean, I've watched a bit of your matches now, Frances, and it's always amazing to me to see how creative you are on the court, within points, within rallies, the shots that, I mean, some players wouldn't even think of, let alone think of in split second moments and be able to execute them. Where does that come from? Have you always sort of felt that creativity? And do you feel like sometimes it's difficult to kind of get away from it when you need to, or is it just a part of what you want to continue to foster in your game? It's mind-blowing to me, but I'm curious what you think.
No, I mean, as a kid, I tried a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, I just always saw the court a little different. I feel like my coach always told me that. I didn't really know what it meant when I was younger, but I always just had an eye. I always, was trying to not be predictable. But sometimes, and I hated the meats and potatoes. I hated that. So,
Meats and potatoes. Yeah, I get
I mean, just doing a standard, like, a standard, like, just doing the tough thing. And not always trying to do the thing that's going to put bums in seats. So, just trying to just find that balance of it. But it helps me at times, and it definitely screws me over at some moments.
Well, we love it. I mean, I've definitely enjoyed it. Sometimes I kind of give you a little stuff about it, but it's wonderful to see, and not many players have that type of creativity as well as ability to execute. So certainly, that's special. It's a special part of your game, and that's all. I'm not gonna pump you up anymore, okay?
I think Shannon's my biggest fan.
Well, it's something, I've heard your story about, you basically lived at College Park and your dad a janitor, but I know sometimes the story gets a little muffled or whatever. So I'd like to hear it again a little bit for the people out there listening, because it's a very unbelievable story, actually.
Appreciate it. No, yeah. So my dad was a maintenance worker at the JTCC out in College Park, Maryland. He literally helped build the place in '99. Once it got built, at the time, Martin Blackman was the CEO of the place.
Yeah.
So like in 2001, when I was like 3, my dad asked Martin, can my twins come here after school, and they won't be in the program. Like, I'll just hit with them on the wall after school, just so they can be in a better environment after school and what have you. So we did that for like 3 years, literally every day. But we loved it. I mean, we'd watch the coaches play, teach the kids. We would like just be around. I just remember it like yesterday, and so then shortly after that, when we were about 7, 8, they put us in the after school program, and then a coach, one coach, this Russian coach, I don't obviously not have much relationship now, but literally just took me under his wing. He was like my second dad. This guy, Misha, he paid for my events to go locally. His wife would take me to events. I would stay over his house like once, twice a week, and then we would do like 5:30 a.m. workouts, playing tennis. And before I went to the full-time program, it was nuts. and then and then yeah.
I remember seeing you when you were quite young, because I was in the DC area, and I remember you had a really funky forehand. And then I remember, see, I know what I'm talking about. And then I remember when I think probably you must have been about 16 or 17. Didn't they change your forehand or something?
Right.
And I remember I said to Ray Benton, like, what are you doing? And he's like, no, Zina, we got to get this forehand down. We got to get this forehand down. So, see, I've been watching you.
Yeah. That actually became into a massive thing for like a while. I was pretty stubborn when I was younger. Still a
What?
little bit.
I mean,
still
for
a little
tennis
bit
players,
of
does that ever change?
Yeah, still a little bit
And you
now.
need
Pretty
that.
bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad when I was younger. So, yeah, obviously I just left it as, but it worked out okay so far.
Now, when did you know in terms of tennis and, because you said at a really young age, just being in the environment, but when did you know tennis was what you wanted to do?
When I was like 8, 9, but when I felt like it was realistic, when I was probably like 12 or 13. It's always what you want to do, right? But when you actually feel like you can taste it, you can feel that. But again, it was kind of like, there was never a doubt I wasn't gonna do it. I found it as a way out. Obviously, my parents and things like that put them in better situations. So, yeah, I was definitely gonna do it. I was pretty determined to do it.
Did your brother push you a lot? Because that has to be pretty amazing to have a twin brother that's coming
Yeah,
along.
man. Yeah, he was obviously. Yeah, he was a big sport cat
You're not
for
gonna
me.
give your brother some love, his name?
Yeah. Frances Tiafoe. Yeah. We're extremely close. Obviously, our lives we parted ways a lot. Cause obviously, I was traveling a lot, and he did the regular school thing. But we were extremely close, and yeah, I mean, that guy wants nothing but the best for me. He gets on me a lot. He plays a bigger brother role on me a lot. Just making sure I stay in the straight and narrow, and so yeah, I appreciate him a lot.
Now he's a little bit older, right?
Yeah, a minute older than me.
1 minute. Okay, that's what I was supposed to ask you.
I have sisters that were twins, and one is 2 minutes early, so they let you know. But is the way you show your brother love? I saw you on Instagram showing him sleep. How dare you?
I had to clown him because it was like that was the early quarantine days and we were sleeping in like crazy, and I had to do some ATP thing, and I was like, this is perfect. The whole world gonna see it. So it was pretty funny.
Now, Frances,
I was going to say Tostitos should have been calling you too with all them
snacks. Right. They should have gave me a little deal.
A little something at least. Now, Frances, we've been seeing a little bit of live tennis coming back, different formats, obviously with social distancing and all that. But what do you think? Have you watched any of it? What do you think about, some of the tennis going on now? And are you going to get in on it?
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely try and get into a couple. I've rather been watching older matches. It's more excited for me.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I mean it's good. I mean, I was happy when I saw it get going, because obviously it's a tough time for a lot of tennis players. We don't want a lot of guys to stop playing the sport of tennis. So I was happy. When I even got calls about it earlier, but I was nowhere near ready to play because I wasn't playing at all. So, but yeah, I think it's great, and hopefully we can figure this thing out pretty soon, and hopefully they have more and more events, give guys more and more opportunity.
Now, would you want to see tournaments in the future, the bigger events, play without fans if that was an option?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, like the money as well, so I like to play. but, uh, uh, but I don't know. It's tough, man. I struggle. I always struggle playing on those not so great courts. I like the fans. I feed a lot of energy off them. Especially in the bigger events. Small events, it's whatever. But in the bigger events, it'll be tough to play with no fans. Imagine Arthur Ashe Stadium with no fans. You feel like it's a practice.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Just not having a crowd. How do you simulate, the whole atmosphere and what players are used to playing within, and what's a really big part of the game. So I don't know what I would say on that one, but obviously everybody wants to try to get tournaments played, and it would be, as you said, part of your livelihood, part of what you do, and you'd rather play than not. But what do you think, Zina?
Yeah, well,
Envisioning that?
yeah, I'm like Frances. I love playing on the big courts, and I love
Yeah.
the excitement from the crowd and bringing you back. But so it is going to be totally different. But Frances, you're just going to have to adapt like champions do. So
Right.
probably
I mean, if
start.
it comes down to it, you gotta do what you gotta do. But
Yeah, so you probably start working now on becoming your biggest, you know, supporter and champion and pulling yourself up, because you guys probably will play a couple of matches without people around. So, you just have to visualize the people through the lens
Yeah.
that somebody's watching. But
It's tough.
when you're an entertainer, it's going to be very difficult. And Frances is an entertainer. You want to hit those big shots. You want the crowd. You like to go over there, give it high fives, all of that. Well, so it's gonna have to be in your mind now, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you draw energy though from the crowd, as a
Yeah.
player. I mean, depending on, when it's a tough moment, or you might need just that extra bit of boost. I mean, the fans are a big part of it. I know we don't often kind of talk specifics. Everybody after matches wants to thank the fans now, but that's kind of the fluff part. But they really are important in terms of, the atmosphere and the support that they bring. So we'll see. I mean, do what you have to do, but we'll see how all that, has to work out. I'm gonna get another question in, Frances. So Susan Nardi, and we've had few of our guests answer this question because it's been part of the conversation. But what do you think about the potential of the ATP and WTA merging? And this is her question: would you ever consider having a woman as your coach? Oh, Susan.
I'm gonna do that with you, Chanda. So yeah, I mean, I think knowledge is knowledge. I don't really care if it's a man or woman. So if you respect someone, you respect someone. So that's kind of irrelevant to me. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm when I heard that, I was pretty excited about the ATP and WTA. I think that would be pretty cool. I'm really I mean, yeah, I mean, I think, because I actually didn't know. I was talking to Taylor about this a while ago. I actually didn't know that there's smaller events, the girls get paid so poorly. So I think more events, more combined events. I kind of feel like the junior days, which I loved, and I think I just think that's a better opportunity for both sides. Better entertainment for the fans, more gross and everything like that. So if that's actually a thing and that's in the works and that can happen, I'm definitely pro for it. Yeah.
Well,
Now you played.
it's always so yeah, it's always so funny to me when you guys say, the girls, it's like it's the money is so low and paid. Like, do you know how much we made when we were back there playing? Like, even they made more.
I get that. I get that.
It's a big difference. I mean, it seems like every 4 or 5 years there's a big jump, which is good, and certainly there was more room for it to go up on the women's side, kind of from the start. So that's been one of the positives. And Frances, you've also played some mixed doubles. You don't seem to play a lot. Do you try to play at all the majors or just certain ones?
Yeah, I mean, if someone asks me and we're good friends and I like them, I'll play. It's kind of
Okay.
that's how it kind of goes.
So okay, who have you played with? Who's in that category?
Venus at Wimbledon last year. Obviously, you're not gonna say no to her. That's like not even a question. As far as mixed double, I played Whitney Segway 1 year. She's young. She's gonna be really good. Played with Sasha Vickery 1 year. I was really, really young. Played Leander Paes and Hingis. I haven't got to beat down like that ever.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're pretty special.
Yeah, that was at like
They don't
16,
beat down
17.
a lot of people.
Yeah, that was not fun. But yeah, those are about the couple that's off head I remember playing.
Mm-hmm. Now
I
you
wasn't
left.
playing.
Wait, Zina. Now, Frances, you left out somebody.
I was about to ask
obviously,
you that.
yeah. Sorry,
I
but that
mean,
wasn't like a proper tournament. But yeah,
I
obviously
thought
playing
you were
with
gonna say
Serena.
her first. Who?
Yeah, obviously playing with Serena and playing against Roger. Yeah, I don't know how I forget that one. Yeah, that's terrible. I hope she doesn't see
We
that.
really hope she don't see this, because you might
Yeah,
not
I
play
hope
with
she
her
don't see
again.
it. Yeah, that's
No,
crazy. Yeah, because time just goes and you forget about it. Yeah, playing both the Williams sisters is definitely something to tell the grandkids one day.
Yeah, not many guys can say that. Not many players at all, but certainly,
Yeah.
Did you
from
learn
that
anything
perspective.
from them? You learned when you were playing with them?
Yeah, I mean, I always say I said a lot of interviews in Australia. I took a lot of my success in Australian Open because of Serena, just being around her, seeing how she approaches the game, just her whole mindset. It was pretty interesting to see, and just how she goes about it. Taking in prisoners and things like that. Obviously, our personalities are completely different, but actually, seeing how bubbly she is when all the cameras are off was pretty special. I got extremely close with her, and I hope our relationship gets closer. Now, Venus is obviously like really nice, but man, she was hard on us when we played. She was going 2 hours practice, like we was out there grinding. I was like, damn, that was different. And Serena was kind of like laughing a lot, but Venus is like, man, we're here to win this thing. And I was nervous. That made me really nervous. And I don't even really get nervous like that, but that definitely made me nervous.
So Venus was the drill sergeant, huh?
Yeah. We're doing this. We're like running practice. One day, I rocked up to practice. I was a little tired. We practiced early, and she was like, "All right, so what's the plan today?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, like you came with a plan, right? Like we're gonna do the whole hour and a half." And I'm sitting there looking at her, and she's like, "Don't look around. Like you talking to me?" And I was like, "Whoa, this is." So I like just made some bluff drills, and she like completely like disregarded everything I said, and she's like, "No, we're doing this." She's like, "Come prepared the next time." And then after she started laughing, but during it she kept a straight face. But I was like, Jesus.
Coach Venus.
The one thing about Venus is she's gonna always keep you on your toes, but
Completely.
That's tennis. And interesting, you said Serena and your attitudes are totally different. You're really not, though. And you both play off her energy. So in Serena's younger days, Serena was a lot like you, very creative, didn't know what to do, when to do it, sometimes too creative. And she learned how to, what was the thing you said? Meat and tomatoes. I mean, meat and
potatoes. Yes.
But she learned how to bring it down a little bit enough to win the point. So you actually probably should watch some of her very early matches when she was younger, and then watch her now with maturity.
Growth, yeah. That's interesting. And Zina, you coached Serena for portions of time, so you really got an insight into her game and kind of how she thought about some of that. So that's interesting. You say that. I wouldn't have necessarily thought that either, personality-wise, looking at the two of them, but I like it. Interesting tidbit.
It's all about learning to, when you are a creative player, I was as well. It's very difficult, like Frances, like you said, because sometimes you want to hit this like unbelievable shot, and when you just need to put it to the other side, you don't need to crack it necessarily. Just put it over there.
Well, if you do make it, the crowd gonna go wild.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So
yes.
you just have to, you're getting to become a mature man. You just have to learn, certain things at certain times. Sometimes you just got to be basic. Just got to be basic.
Right. Facts.
Well, and Frances, I know you think, maybe we don't understand. I don't understand. I used to have a little bit. I used to be wild and out of control. I felt at times. Look, what, Zina? What? I would feel at times like, you know what? I don't want to make this basic shot. I want to make it like look fantastic. So yes, I mean it is absolutely a thing. And you do have to learn, and we all kind of mature, as we get those experiences. So yeah, just keep it going, keep playing your game, and you will definitely be fine. So now go ahead,
Go
Zena.
ahead, Chanda.
I'm going to throw in another question, so you go first, and then I'll throw in another one.
Okay. So what's your workouts been like? You down there in Florida? You on the beach? But you can't be on the beach right now, I guess.
Yeah, I'm on the beach doing something. I'm relaxing this time. Yeah, I just got down here like a couple of days ago, so yeah, I'm trying to just run a lot outside. I did some beach runs, did some agility on the sand. Yeah, I've been struggling. It's definitely not DC. But yeah, just for me, trying to move more efficiently. Obviously, I'm quick, but trying to move more efficiently. Don't take any steps I don't need to take. I'm just trying to get more proactive mindset with my footwork rather than reactive. Obviously, I feel like I move like crazy slow when the ball comes slow, and then like obviously really fast when I feel like I need to move. So trying to change that and other things like that. So that's mainly been my fitness.
Well, whenever you get real serious, I got the perfect person to train you.
He lives
in San Francisco. He was he played basketball. He played baseball, professional baseball for a little bit. Mom played tennis, but perfect personality for you. And I guarantee, but you got to be ready, because if you ain't ready, you don't need to play with him. You give me that phone. You got my number now. You can't say you don't have my number, but when you ready to train, let me know. They just opened up not yet, but a beautiful place out there. And like I said, when you ready to train, let me know. Go, Chanda.
Now this, Zena, this is on the fitness side you talking about?
On the fitness. Because once you get that fitness down, the mind gonna come, Chanda.
Right. Well, that is true. Now, friends, I'm curious. You look like you're pretty fit. How do you think your fitness is? Where do you feel it is, or where would you like to see it go to?
Oh, it can always get better, right? Obviously, competing against dogs like Rafa and Team and these kind of guys. So obviously, I feel fit, but comparing to them, these guys Rafa can run around and hit forehands for 10 years, 20 years, and not feel tired. So obviously, there's levels of being fit. But I would say I'm pretty fit. I definitely with the really hot days midday, I'm like, oh man, I prefer definitely the nighttime slots. But
Well, interesting. You mentioned in Rafa, and obviously, you got Djokovic there, who's pretty fit himself, and Federer at the top. Patrick Clohessy kind of had a question, a comment / question, but talking about those guys, they haven't really let up, and they haven't let too many people through in terms of winning majors and trying to get to where they are. But there are some young players, some players like you and some of the other guys. Do you think that it would make it more exciting? Do you think that there needs to be, some of you young guys kind of stepping up a little bit more consistently with some new blood to make it a little more exciting on the ATP Tour?
Yeah, I think that's why I think that Aus Open that in 2019 was great. You had a lot of young guys go for runs that year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just happened at a random time. It seemed like a lot of young guys went for runs. It's just tough, man, because, those three, they're trying to see who's going to be the real GOAT, right? And they're just all neck and neck. And, they're not trying to let these young bucks come in there and take that from them. They don't think we've paid our dues long enough, clearly. So, but I think it's definitely doable. I think, if I'm being realistic, I think it's doable except on clay. I think Rafa on clay is just too much. But I think on every other surface, I think it is doable. I think you can see that some guys snip them pretty soon here, especially if guys come out of this and actually get better and not just kind of maintain it, guys actually get better. So I think there's some guys that can do it, including myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you definitely, it seems like the tougher the opponent, the bigger the match, the tougher the opponent, the better you play, the more you're able to raise your game. You've gotten close in some matches, and I mean, you've played it tight. What do you think is kind of just that little edge to kind of get you over that line in terms of your game?
I mean, one, I think throughout a match, throughout even tournaments, I need to serve better, make more first serves. I think I give a lot of guys, especially when my legs start getting a little tired, give a lot of guys a lot of looks at second serves, and then just managing my core positioning as well. If I can finish more at the net, I think that would be great. But yeah, again, as I was speaking about earlier, I don't think I use my quickness to be on offense enough. I think I could do it a little better. But I think the biggest thing is mentally for me. I gotta manage my highs and lows, obviously. So I'm a very emotional player. So if I can keep that more even keel, obviously I'm not gonna be one of those quieter guys, but kind of manage those highs and lows. When I'm losing a bunch of points in a row, stop the bleeding quicker than I do. I think that will definitely spiral me quite a lot.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I have a clip of somebody that on my personal Facebook, Chandler Rubin was hitting on the backboard. I think we have a clip of that.
Zina, we were talking serious. We were talking
footwork.
serious right here.
Watch this footwork. I mean, I don't know if will it play, but the footwork on go on Twitter and watch it. Chandler's footwork on the backboard was amazing, and the workout of the day. Frances, I got almost 3,000 views on my
oh my goodness
on my own personal Facebook. I don't get that many views my own self, so but I would say.
I don't even know what to say to that, Zina. I don't. I mean, I think people were so shocked that my butt got moving to even hit on the wall that they're like, "Oh my gosh!"
Girl, you were moving. But Frances, back to that. Your footwork is definitely your key. Your footwork, and then once you really understand what I mean by footwork and getting in the right position, then getting in the best shape that you can possibly be in. The mental part, train yourself mentally. A lot of times when people say to younger players, you're kind of getting older now, you're 22, but to younger players is when you say mental, like you really don't understand that. And that's why I asked you about the Michael Jordan thing. You have to train yourself mentally as well. Just like you train on that court, you got to train yourself mentally. So footwork, watch Chandler Rubin's footwork on the Twitter. and you'll be ready for whenever we might start.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely the mental side, that comes into play a lot. And also, kind of, you alluded to it, Zina. I mean, 22, Frances, I mean, you're still very young, but you've been out there a long time. I mean, you started playing when you were 15, 16. And so you can start to feel like you're this veteran, this wily veteran. And, how do you year after year kind of find that added motivation, new motivation, new things you're going to work on? I think that is a tough part. I mean, I know you think I'm really old, Frances, but I remember being your age. Wasn't that long ago?
Well, I don't.
So, I think that is kind of a challenge, where you are in your career now, and sort of how do you keep pushing, and not feeling old, because you're not.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I got a question from Kamal, and I got to get it in for you, Frances. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? Okay.
Are we all ready?
And look, I'm reading it here. It's coming in fresh. This is all live, but it said it's hard being out there and not really a lot of Black men to confide in. Who do you lean on and go to for non-judgmental advice?
Well, I'm not gonna say Kamal since he asked the question.
So it could be Kamal, right?
No, I mean, man, we have a lot of talks. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of talks with him. a lot of talks with obviously Jameer and Jermaine Jenkins, obviously, because they spent so much time with Venus and Serena. So I've learned a lot from them. Yeah, I mean those three I talked to a lot, like a lot. I definitely take a lot of time and try to learn from them, obviously, because they've all been Grand Slam champions. So obviously, I mean, I talked to Canada a lot. She gave me pretty bad advice. So I kind of
I'm
stopped
judgmental though. I'm judgmental though, so don't put me in there.
Oh man, you're only ripping me. It's a one-way conversation. It's a one-way conversation. But no, I mean, yeah, those three. I mean, yeah, we definitely do a ton of dinners at tournaments. I find myself hanging out with those guys majority of the time. Just because, I mean, yeah, if we're gonna be real, I just feel like it's a lot of fake stuff, and I'm not really with that. I'm not here for that on the tour, obviously, because at the end of the day, they got something I want, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
you gotta really pick who's really around you. You know, who really wants the best for you, and not just just kind of blow smoke up your ass. So it's kind of what it is.
Oh, God. So to
Yeah.
your point on that, you're absolutely right. So you kind of grew up in the whole tennis academy or whatever. And who are your outside friends? Who's your outside mentor? Because and Chandler probably could, feel the same way I feel on this. Sometimes it's very important to have someone outside of tennis where you can just go and talk that doesn't know about tennis. Do you have any people you just hang out with?
I mean, other than my close friends, a couple. This one guy I've been talking to a ton. He's got Reggie Love. He's like really close to Barack Obama when he was in office.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, so I mean, he's in the city, and every time in DC, we always get together, do dinners, have a ton of talks. Yeah, he's been great. A couple basketball guys I talked to. I think they know tennis, but they don't know the damn thing.
They probably feel that way with you with basketball.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely good to just get a different feel of things. Because obviously, I mean, it's still a sport, so I mean, they're going through as much stuff as you are, if not more. So.
Yeah. Well, I got another one from Kamal, and this is the last one. But and this one interesting. As you start to ramp up in the sport and you're getting more experience, what are some of the things you took for granted early on that you are now focusing on to help you get to that next level? So what are some of the things you took for granted that you sort of realize now?
I mean, certain weeks, like for example, like like especially when I was younger, if I was, if it was a bad day, or like whatever the case may be, I just wasn't feeling it, and then like that made like a couple practices I let go, couple whatever I let go, and then I kind of like transferred over to some matches, and then he gets like I think the biggest thing is just like the light switch of like thinking that I can just turn it on. I think that was a bad mentality that I had from the juniors that I did a lot, so the coaches would get pretty pissed because that's not reality. But yeah, I mean, just not wasting any days. I think off court, I mean, trying to maximize each and every day, because now I understand it, because if I'm not doing it, somebody else is, and all that blah blah blah. But I definitely I've grasped that pretty well, and just I think the biggest thing is knowing you got to bring it each and every week. Nobody cares of who you are, where you're from, or anything like that.
That's true.
Nobody really cares. So,
well, now we know to call in Venus. That's who we're gonna call on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely cracking it on you. So I'm gonna read another question from Thanks USA, and I'm not aware of them, but it's about veterans that you spent time with on court at JTCC, and they're kind of referring to that. So were you a part of the program in terms of playing with some of the veterans there?
I'm a
What was
spokesman
that?
for it.
A
Yeah, I'm a
spokesman.
spokesman
Okay.
for it. So,
And
yeah, no,
so, mhm.
yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, a bunch of veterans trying to enjoy their tennis. Obviously, they've been through a lot more than people in sports. So,
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I like that. I've grown relationships. I've known a lot of people since I was real young. they became fans, friends, whatever you want to call them.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's great. You know, usually when I'm home, almost every Wednesday, I go out there, play tennis with them for like 2 hours. You know, speak to them, ask them how they're doing. They ask me how I'm doing. They said, you know, you shouldn't have lost that clown or whatever. So yeah, so it's been good, and I think those things kind of keep me humble, keep me understand where I came from, treating everybody with respect, especially your elders and things like that. So I really enjoy it.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, it's interesting because I'm doing this thing called hashtag. Well, it's actually called Help Kids hashtag Learn Everywhere. And Kamal actually challenged you. Did you know that? Did you see him in them wild pajamas, the onesies?
Yeah. I like he messaged me about I need to go and do another one. I need to go and do one. Sorry, I need to go and do one. So
So
he was like, man, when you gonna do yours? I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I was like, cause I clowned him on what he did. But
What
then
did
I was
he
like, damn,
do?
like
Did I miss that? What did he do?
oh, you
yeah,
have
he
got
had
to get you
pajamas on. All his kids had pajamas, and they were like learning how to brush his teeth. And I was like, that's the first time you brush your
Oh,
teeth,
right. Yeah,
Kumar.
yeah, yeah.
and,
So
and the
what'd you
little
do?
the little
I'm
one
trying to figure. I
actually.
haven't done one yet. I need to post one up yet. So
Well,
Yeah,
I
this
we'll
got to
want
see
be
what
I
I
some
want
good
do.
to read.
advice.
Yeah, Chad actually did one very good one as well. Just basically saying thank you, being respectful, and everything. So I want to double challenge you because I do want you to do one, but I also want to challenge WTCC from where you grew up. I want to challenge them as well because it's all about teaching kids that you can learn something from where no matter where you are. And so you've been traveling
Mhm.
all over the world. I'm sure there's some good tips that you can give us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
We'll
take
be
the
waiting.
challenge?
I tell you, I
We'll be
will say I don't
waiting.
have a choice. So yeah, I take it.
Well, we're coming down to kind of our last 5 minutes or so, Francis, but I do want to ask one other question from Susan. And she's kind of asking me this question, but you, Francis, you've played with both of the Williams sisters in doubles, in mixed doubles, so you probably can answer this as well. But she's asking which one was the tougher opponent to play and why. So, I'm curious to see, what you think the difference is. You kind of mentioned Venus, Francis, what you think the differences are in terms of as an opponent. But for me, I mean, they were both tough. It was different because Venus was so rangy, that extra height. She could cover the court with one or two
Right.
steps, and, the serve was just different, more straight on, a little more heat consistently. It was, I think for me, more of a challenge to play Venus. And I never beat her. We had some couple of tough matches, tough 3-set matches, but I did not beat her. I did beat Serena in a tough match. So I wouldn't want to live on the difference. But I think just in terms of the skill set, Venus for me was a little bit tougher. As a player who was trying to be a little more aggressive, didn't quite have the height, and had to try to find ways to win points. Venus was tough. So what about you, Francis? In
Yeah, I
terms
mean,
of having played with them, how do you see the difference?
yeah, I mean, if we're talking prime and prime, man, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. I think, yeah, I mean, playing with them, I mean, Venus Volley is much better. I think she's very comfortable in
Whoa.
that.
Don't say
No,
much.
I just think I'm not trying to dog Serena at all. Like she's got 23, I got zeros. I'm not trying to dog anything. So if she's watching this, like you're still my favorite. Don't worry. But especially all the volley drills I did with Venus, I think she deserves the volley better. But no, I just think she's way more comfortable than that. She was like extremely lengthy. She can definitely cover a lot of balls. I remember watching them when I was young. I was like, yeah, Venus is a dog, man. But I mean, they're both so good. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like apples and oranges, whatever you want. But
Yeah, I mean, it's so little between them. I will say though, I played Serena and the one match, first time I played her was at Wimbledon and she just handled me. I mean, this was the year she was like not hardly losing matches and that was not the best surface to play her on either. I played her again that year, but I remember in that match, she hit a ball. I hit the ball pretty hard, but she hit a ball, and it was the hardest ball I had seen come at me. And I literally didn't even have time to react. It was off her racket, crossed the net, and a winner. And for me, after playing Steffi Graf and Monica Seles and some of the big hitters of the game, Lindsay Davenport, I mean, yeah, everybody was big hitters, Mary Pierce, but this was a ball that from like 0 to 60, and she just put it on me. So it definitely different, skill sets. But it's been interesting to kind of watch how they've both, progressed and kind of grown in terms of their games with those different.
Yeah, I mean, I think ball striking, hitting with Serena, I've never hit the ball late that many times in my entire life. Hitting with it. I think her ball striking is impeccable from both sides. Just same as coming through. Yeah, so I was really taken away out. But I will say this though, I think Serena is the best server of all time.
Yeah,
like
Sure.
even me returning,
Hmm.
I can't even read her serve, which I was
Really?
pretty pissed about. Like
Huh.
we're out there just joking around. 'Cause, yeah, I mean she can put it in the same place and hit every spot. So and like you
The
challenges
same
outside the
toss.
lines.
From the same toss.
Same toss every spot.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty impressive. Watching on TV, it's like, yeah, she has a good serve, but when you cross the net, it's a little different. So that reminded me of Roger like a lot because
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I played Roger, I was always wondering the hype on his serve because obviously it wasn't much pace. And then when I played him, I was like, yeah, I get it, I definitely get it.
Never mind.
Yeah, I definitely get it.
Well, you've got a pretty big serve yourself. Where do you rate your serve? In terms of
It depends on the day. It depends on the day. That's what I was saying earlier in the cover. I have a really good serve. It gets me in a lot of trouble some days, and some days it definitely lets me down. So I mean, get to the point where I'm like Roger and these guys, they get broken once a tournament. Like it's
yeah,
kind of the more ideal route.
yeah, it's
Mental,
pretty mind-blowing.
Train that
Yeah.
mental there, okay?
Now, I got to ask you about one other thing, Frances, before we finish. Now, I noticed, you into music. You had Bianca Andreescu. You guys did this live kind of chat, but it was beats. So what was going on? Where, how much of that have you done during this period of time? And yeah, explain. Tell me about that.
Well, my cousins actually like produce beats. My cousin's actually producing some beats for Big Sean right now. So
Oh,
I'm pretty into beats. She came out of nowhere with it. I had no. She's like, do you like beats? And I was like, of course. And then she like came out of nowhere and tried to impress me and my girlfriend with some beats. They were all right. I was actually I wasn't too mad at them. They were all right. So I showed her a little love on them. But yeah. So that's kind of how that went down. But yeah, I'm really into music. So.
So what makes a good beat? Before we talk about the girlfriend, what makes a good beat?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Wow. I mean, I don't even know how it goes so deep into that. I mean, obviously, it also depends. Like, what kind of music are we also talking about, though?
Some with a beat. That hits. I mean, yeah. Obviously, you got rap, and I like a lot of R&B, but I like a mixture.
I'm a huge R&B person.
I'm big on R&B. That's my favorite. But I like a mixture. I like when you do have kind of those hard beats with it, and it can kind of mix it in. So yeah, tell me what makes for you. And got my dogs barking here, but it'll be okay.
Damn, I'm gonna really have to think. I've never actually even thought about that. It's kind of like just whatever I felt, but I've never even thought of why I like the beat or not. I'm actually gonna give you that one in the text another day. I need to think about that honestly.
Well, it probably
when it comes to R&B, like kind of just like I don't know, like just like. I mean, at that point, I'm more listening to the words though. Like for example, like old Neo, old Usher. Like Fantasia, like
Neo.
What? What?
Oh, you gotta think that's old for me though. That's
for real? I'm shocked. That is old for you. What?
that is old.
Yes.
That's like not old for me.
Wow.
That's what makes it so cute. You said, I'm thinking you go say, well, not really, but for me, not even Chanda, I'm like, oh, a little bit of, Marvin Gaye or, Keith Sweat.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, if we go like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, and all of them, yeah, for
That's
sure.
even old for me. That's even old, but like Keith Sweat, somebody like
Yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah. Mid
But like
range.
that prime R&B, like Neo Usher, man, I was all over that. I was all over that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I loved it.
Usher is like talented.
Usher's joke.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So, okay. So Zina, now you had a last question about the girlfriend, and that's about it.
I
That's
was
all.
just saying, I was just saying that she's a very good tennis player. Give us a little bit about,
Ian,
working
right?
out. Yes.
Francis, we go. What just happened?
What was that?
What just
No,
happened?
I had to. No, don't worry. But yeah, no, she just graduated UCLA, so finally she's done college, and so it's pretty interesting. Like we'll see what happens. I think she's a really good player. She got a ton of potential. She works really hard. We'll see how she goes. It's gonna be weird now because I got to worry about someone else but myself now. Because obviously and when she was in college, didn't have to worry about it too much because she's in college.
But the one thing I saw her, her last college match or whatever, she was all wrapped up or whatever. She got heart. So,
yeah, she definitely got hard,
she's
which
tough.
makes it fun to watch. She definitely competes really hard. Hates losing as well. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just her understanding, like, just that obviously there's only one winner each and every week. She takes losses real hard, and
That's
to know, I mean, it's good and bad because I mean, like, you don't want to spiral over in weeks because obviously you never know when it's your week. I love Stan's quote because I mean, there's only ultimately one winner every week, so I mean, ultimately you're losing every week. You're trying to fail better each and every week, so. I've loved that Stan quote. I told him that many times. So yeah, it's pretty realistic if you think about it.
Well, I'm glad you love it because I look, it lasted with me, but it helped motivate me for the following week because I didn't want to be that loser. So
right.
Well, so my last quick question during this time, I found out about a new follow from Coco Golf, just following her account, Tyler the Creator. I had no idea. Had never. I mean, I am.
You listen to him?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, I liked it, and just the way he performed. I mean, his performances, kind of, like you can see. I mean, it's like genius. Some of it. Who would even think of some of that? But my question to you is, who would be some cool follows for us oldies that aren't really with the new times? Who would be some cool follows? Who are some people that you're enjoying following during this time?
I mean, yeah, Cola's cool. She's young. She's pretty entertaining. I mean, we're talking like, Maddie Keys is pretty funny.
But I mean, people like who you are following, maybe outside of the tennis world or whatever, that we wouldn't know of, but that would be kind of cool follows that you've been enjoying during this kind of period at home.
I mean, I love the artist. So I mean, Tory Lanez. I don't know if you guys know Tory Lanez.
I know the name, but yeah, I
Tory Lanez.
Okay.
A lot of his stuff. Drake is like my guy, so
I
always say Drake. I mean, those are like my main two. To be honest with you, I haven't been so much on social media. I'm trying to be on it less.
Really?
More like, especially, I mean, that kind of helps with my girl around. She kind of hates when I'm on the phone all the time. So, so that's kind of my main thing.
Like it. Okay. I like it. That's a great answer. And we can definitely leave it at that. But it's been fun, Frances, chatting and catching up with you. You've given us some things to think about. Hopefully we've given you a few things, or at least Zina, given you a few things to think about. Church Z. But thank you for joining us. And as always, it has been terrific. Thank you guys. And keep following us, catching up on who's going to be next on Game Set Chat. That's a wrap for Game Set Chat, live at a distance.
See y'all. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.